Previously on squatchbot.com. I would have to say at first glance this area looks like prime Sasquatch habitat. Despite concerns over my vehicle's reliability, I decided to gear up and head into the field to investigate a new area of interest along the Sierra Vista Scenic Byway, where we encountered some breathtaking scenery and some curious local lore. And our journey continues here on squatchbot.com. But she's always gotten me home, so yeah, that was a curious sound. Okay, this is getting a little dodgy. So we've reached the end of the paved road, and now we're heading into Clover Meadow. But this road, it's a dirt road now, and this road is pretty gnarly. And I do have a spare tire, but yeah, I'm a little on edge at the moment. But hopefully we'll get there unscathed and we'll be able to set up camp. Definitely we're in a remote area. I've taken this car on some really gnarly road trips. There was one occasion many years ago. I was trying to find the Bluff Creek film site, and I had no clue how to get down there, and I was just trying to wing it using a map. But I got on a forest road that had small trees, I mean just a lot of brush growing in the middle of it, and like a knucklehead, I started driving down this thing and got an incredible amount of debris caught up into the catalytic converter, and so the car began to smoke to an extreme, and I thought the whole it wasn't a good scenario. So if you guys are watching this, for those of you that are watching this, don't do half the things that I end up doing, because a lot of them are pretty reckless. But yeah, it's not a good idea to get a lot of debris caught up into your car's catalytic converter, because I actually thought the thing was going to catch fire, and it freaked the hell out of me. But thank the maker, there's somebody looking out for me, because we made it out of there. That was such a remote location. Yeah, that was a curious sound. I definitely hope I captured that on audio. That was interesting. Considering how elusive they are, the Sasquatch are surprisingly very vocal creatures, and they will often make vocalizations to warn others of an approaching threat. Therefore, one trick when out in the field is to have an audio recorder recording at all times. This is especially beneficial when moving into an area where the Sasquatch are likely to be lurking. So we made it to Clover Meadow Camp. It's not a really primitive camp. It's actually one of the U.S. Forest established campsites up in the area. So there are actually some other campers up here tonight. But for sure I'm going to need to get a high clearance vehicle because when I was coming in I hit a rock pretty darn heavy, and yeah, I'm really pleased that it doesn't seem to have done any damage underneath. But yeah, like I said before, I've taken this car on way too many journeys, probably in places that I should not be taking it. But so you see, it's an established camp. They have picnic benches here, and they've got fire pits and bear cans, so bear boxes. So I'll probably utilize that. I've set up my tent there, and the chair. That's a free gift from the Chichansi Indians. It was the gift of the month if you were partaking in games of chance at their local casino. And if you made enough points, you actually got a chair. So it wasn't free in the sense that I didn't have to invest money to get it, but it's a nice gesture, and I'm going to enjoy sitting in it. Tonight, I'm not sure if I'm going to set up a fire. I'm kind of too tired to be out looking for firewood, but we'll see. I'm going to have some dinner right now, and I've opted to skip on the raviolis. So I've got a little sandwich here I picked up at the North Fork Market. We've got some of the pretzels we picked up at the Dollar Tree, and for dessert it's going to be one of those strawberry Pop-Tart. So that's what we're having for breakfast. For dinner. I mean, I'm going to show you this. This is I think it's pretty ridiculous, but it's absolutely genius. This is my portable shower, and what it is, it's just this little tap thing that you put on just a bottle, and when you turn it upside down, you've got a shower. And really, I just love its ingenious simplicity, and I use it all the time. I have one of those packable showers too that you throw up in a tree, and they get solar heated and all that. But this thing works really well because you lay it out in the sun for a little bit, and the water's going to get hot fast. And I just love it because I'm usually driving with a soda in the car, and I'll just rinse out the soda and fill it up with water and put that little top piece onto it, and I've got my portable shower all set up. So we are all set for the moment. As in regards to going out and doing any sort of reconnaissance tonight, I'm not sure. I'm going to go trek around after I eat here and see what we got going on. But I'm not so sure I'm going to be heading too far into the backcountry tonight. I did bring the technology with me. I had the FLIR and so on, but for sure I don't want to be driving the vehicle anywhere because it was really treacherous coming in here, and I really don't want to be doing that drive more than I have to. And so I don't want to be driving anywhere. But I'll poke around a little bit to see what we got going on here, and I'll pull the map out to see if there's any areas of interest that are in close proximity to my camp. But other than that, this trip is just pretty much getting up into this area and just looking around. So that's what we're doing, and tomorrow we'll see about maybe doing some hikes around in the area to see if there's some interesting areas that we can maybe spend more time in the future. Again, this area is kind of deemed a good summer investigation spot, so we're already pulling into fall, and so this area is going to be pretty much buried under snow. Whoa, probably there's a curious rock here. A little teeter-totter rock. But so yeah, this place is going to be buried under snow probably within a month or so, probably in mid-November. So we're not going to be doing any sort of in-depth investigation of this area right now. Basically what we're doing is just coming up here to do some reconnaissance and to see if we are going to be setting up a summer investigation up here. So far, I really enjoyed the drive up here and visiting the various forest designated spots of interest like the Arch Rock and so on. And there's some other areas that are also marked on the map coming up on the road, so I'm looking forward to seeing those tomorrow. But so tonight we haven't made any decisions on what we're going to do, but in the immediate future I am going to be having my dinner, and then after dinner we'll see what sort of trekking about we want to do, and I'll pull out the map to see if there's any areas within reasonable walking distance that we can visit and maybe investigate. So that's the plan now. I am just going to grab some dinner. Of course, having heard those curious sounds while driving into the area, I was way too curious not to investigate. So after dinner, I ventured deep into the forest, continuing in the direction the sounds had originated from. Okay, this is interesting. I'm still out trekking around, and I'm going to swing the camera around so you can see this. But check out that mushroom. And there's another one. There's another one there. Yeah, definitely cool. Reminds me of kind of a funny story, actually. I was out on expedition with one of the groups. I think it was either Washington or maybe it was Oregon. But one of the other team members found some interesting tracks, and he wanted my opinion on them. So the two of us went off to check out his footprints and take some measurements and so on. And they were interesting tracks, inconclusive, but they were really interesting. In fact, as I recall, I think they were bear tracks is what we were leaning on. But anyways, I saw this really beautiful mushroom in the forest, and I was up taking photographs of it going, wow, this is really amazing. And the other team member came and broke it into several pieces, thinking that it was going to be edible or something that he was interested in eating. I don't know why he broke it in half, but he wanted to identify it, and I guess that's how you do it. But regardless, he destroyed this beautiful mushroom that was sitting there having a wonderful day, and yeah, that day came to an abrupt end. So when you're out in the field going around, it's really important that you respect the environment. I think it's important. So absolutely try to follow the leave no trace policy, and try to respect the flora and fauna in the area. Give the animals a lot of room, and try not to damage the plants that are around, because this ecosystem really is quite fragile, and it's disheartening to see how much destruction just that pine beetle has caused. So yeah, the forest doesn't need any help in its precarious state by having us put our 2 cents in. So yeah, definitely try to respect the environment and pick up after yourself. And if you find trash around, it's always nice to bring it out as well. So that's my little sermon for this evening. So right now I think I'm going to do a little more poking around. I'm kind of a ways from camp now, and I don't have the FLIR on me. I left it back at the camp. So for sure I don't want to be tromping around in the dark, because I don't even have my good flashlight with me. So I should probably start heading back, but there are some areas up here that look interesting. I'm going to move in just a little further. But I'm definitely going to take some shots of these mushrooms with my Nikon, so that we'll have some better shots of them. Great. It's a cow patty. All right, so I think I'm gonna head back. I don't want to be running into cows that might be poking around up here. I mentioned before about the importance of safety and all that, especially when trekking alone. I am carrying the bear mace just in case we encounter a bear. Apparently it's supposed to be useless on a Sasquatch, but I don't anticipate a Sasquatch to be attacking me. But here's another thing that I carry. I don't carry a gun, but I do have one of these horn blasters. This is good for a number of reasons. One is if a cat, like a mountain lion, shows interest, for sure that's going to scare them off. Cats are generally pretty skittish, I think, and I think you blast it with that horn, it's going to give you a second to move on. But another thing is, if something was to happen and I was, in a situation where I needed help, I can use that to send out an SOS. And I'm sure all of you know what the SOS Morse code is. Well, you should look it up if you don't. And yes, well, I'll point it out. It's 3 short, 3 long, and 3 short. So it goes dit 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 dit. So that's my demonstration of Morse code for an SOS. And with the horn here, I can blast that out, and hopefully somebody on the receiving end of that call will know that it's an SOS and I'm in distress. I'm seeing something really interesting over here, and I'm going to go take a gander because I think it's just naturally occurring phenomenon, but it's one thing that you just kind of keep an eye out for. Sasquatch likes to do these tree bends and so on, and this one looks like naturally occurring. I'm going to use the tripod here to see if you guys can get a good look at it. So, this tree bend is most definitely naturally occurring, most likely caused by snow load. You can see how the branch has a very natural bend to it. However, if you notice a tree bend that has a twisting appearance to it, that is absolutely worth documenting. The Sasquatch tend to twist the branch as it's bending it, so that is definitely something to be looking out for. Okay, it got quite dark by the time I got back to the camp, so I'm going to light a fire here. I'm hoping it's going to be a one-match fire. Meaning it'll start the first match, but let's give it a try. Alrighty, kind of nice having a fire. Usually when I'm out bigfooting, I'm running dark, but tonight it's nice having the campfire going. So it's time for a story. And this campfire reminds me of a really special life moment that I had while out on expedition. We were up in Washington, and it was just an absolute breathtaking area. It was just an amazing area. I've been bigfooting up there a few times, and I'll never get tired of it. It's just absolute pristine country. It's beautiful. And that particular weekend, there was a meteor shower happening. So the heavens were ablaze with stars, and many of those stars were streaking through the sky, which made just a really magical moment for everybody. But then that magic didn't stop, because a pickup truck drives up to base camp, and out of the pickup truck comes Bob Gimlin. I think just about everybody who's watching this knows who Bob Gimlin is. If not, you should Google him. But Bob Gimlin was, of course, part of the famous Patty footage that was taken in Northern California. Roger Patterson, Bob Gimlin, in October 20th, 1967. They were up in Bluff Creek, California, and they captured that amazing footage of a female Sasquatch walking through the creek bed there. And it's by far some of the most substantial photographic evidence that we have of Sasquatch. So if you haven't seen that footage, be sure to check it out. And I actually have a video that I posted earlier at one of the events, and it has some of that footage on it. So it's definitely worth checking out. But so back to my story. Bob Gimlin steps out of this pickup truck, and Bob is just such an amazing guy. He really so much appreciates everybody that he meets. He took the time to take photographs with us all, so we all got our pictures taken with Bob Gimlin. And after the photo shoot, because there was quite a few of us, it took quite a while, and he was just so happy to accommodate us all and to make conversation with us all. But after the photo shoot, we went over to base camp, and there was a big fire roaring, and we all sat down at the fire. And Bob Gimlin sits next to me at the campfire, and he starts us off with a drum circle. So they passed out some drums, and we did some drumming and some chanting, and it was really just an amazing moment. And then he asked if anybody had any questions. And geez, I'm getting a little choked up. This is really a special memory for me. But yeah, so Bob asked us if anybody had any questions for him. And I was sitting right next to him, and I said, you know, Bob, I think everybody would love to hear the story. And so for the next hour, Bob entertained us with the story of Patty, and how he went up there with Roger, and they encountered her on that creek bed. But yeah, that's an amazing story, and yeah, I'm a little sentimental about it and a little choked up. But it really was one of those amazing life moments, because as I looked, around the fire and saw, everybody there, we were a collective. We were so different in our diversity. I mean, all of us were just different people, and we were there together as a group, and we all had Bigfoot as the common denominator, and it was just such a non-judgmental environment, because we were all just so enamored with Bob and his story that it really was just one of the most amazing life experiences that I've ever had. So yeah, that's my story time. I'm sorry I'm getting a little sentimental about it, but it truly was an amazing life moment.